I'm interested in the mess.
And we imported an artist all the way from Zimbabwe.
That's why it's so
He added the pictures. So I'll introduce him. You can. This sphere over here. There's so many things that are messy right now. This is the Love Cities sort of ecosystem. But one of the things we wanted to really focus on was the fragmentation within our system. And I'm not just talking about us collectively here, I'm talking about beyond us in South Africa. As you mentioned, why are we not working together better? Why are we not aligned? Why are we not seeing quicker, more efficient, more effective delivery of all these things that we're on about here? So this is one of the things, this is some of the reason why that we think.
And then, so even within our framework, there's us in the middle there, with all the different warts and all of who we are and the beautifulness and the challenges that we're facing together as a group. And the attractiveness for us in that is just to listen to what's happening everywhere around you and listen to the stories. I say, okay, so you're facing that, so am I, there's amazing changes that could happen. So this is an emerging work that's the easiest space to work in because we've got it, we've got the heart. We haven't got all the answers, but we've got the practical way to move forward into the answers. And then around it, as we travel around the country, as you do, and I'd like to invite you into that journey to think like this, because as I go into Pretoria, I see Love Pretoria East, we're doing a partnership now with Emirates Universities and Love Cities and Pietermaritzburg. And the first thing I see when I put in Pietermaritzburg Emirates campus, what pops up is Love Pietermaritzburg. So immediately I look at that and say, isn't that fantastic? There's like a Love Cities movement in Pietermaritzburg. So I phone Matt and say, how are these guys? And who is Love Pietermaritzburg? And Matt says, well, we know about them, but we don't know them. And they're there and they're working with a school, but we don't know. So there's all these opportunities of working with people. I don't know how many of you get Tidy Towns on your Facebook feeds, but what they're doing just looks unbelievable. You take a town that looks like that, 5 minutes later, and some of your lawnmower guys have been through the town and the grass is cut and it looks amazing. So who are they? Where are they? But they're doing their thing. And so you carry on with all these amazing opportunities there. When you come around here in Joburg, some of you must have heard of Josie My Josie. Amazing people. If you're not doing the 702 Walk the Talk, join us to walk Joburg and see what Joburg is like. You walk in the inner city, you go to the Rand Club. You feel like a real Lani. You know, from the West Rand, you put on shoes, you go to the Rand Club, and Josie My Josie is there. And they're saying to us, let's talk together. So there's opportunities for those conversations with people doing amazing stuff. But everybody here is doing their own thing. And there's too many points here today. We're so focused on what we're doing, we don't have necessarily the capacity to engage with you, but we sometimes don't want to, because what we've got is right. And then within this, some of these spaces are very much spaces that are led by the church. And the church often, if you don't do it our way, then it's not valid. And you know, because you don't clap and sing like this or do hymns or do that, then that's not the right way. Do it my way. So you've got that fragmentation that's happening with a good heart, but with a centralized version of what they think is real. Whereas what we're saying is, what have we got? How do we share? So that's that fragmentation. But then that can bring in here because there's amazing opportunities.
Yeah. So I think within our sort of sphere, we recognize there's funding and resource lack. So that's what the dollar sign there is for, and we cross it out because we're still waiting on that. There's a coordination and a processing lack. You know, so in other words, I want to start to see my community, my suburb, my city thrive. What's step one? What's step two? What's step three? And also, how do we link that? How do we coordinate? What mechanisms can we use? And there's a time issue. If I ask anybody around the room, why are we not seeing greater effectiveness here within our community transformation? This comes up first. I just don't have the time. Sure. And so how do we unlock these resources? And then there seems to also, and we haven't put everything, this is open to economic development opportunities, skills development opportunities. This is where, you know, some of the mental health stuff needs to come in, some of the homelessness stuff. It's all in this space. But we've put barriers here because these things are not getting into our communities because of these things. So that's why they're there. They're stopping the lack of systemized processing, the lack of time, the lack of to build relationships, to build trust, to build all the things that we need to create collaboration. You've got to sit around the table together for a while to get there. And so we want to see these things coming in, and I can add a huge amount of things there. But what is it? Why are there barriers? And that's the mess. We've got to unlock these barriers to get going. I think that's the challenge.
Artist is real masterpiece of art here. Don't you tell what is that? Universities. So we sit with thousands of people in higher education, from TVETs to universities. Yet that's where they sit. And that's where we sit in our communities and organizations. And you sit with thousands of young people that are not in any of those, but they're there, and then there is a barrier. But just starting with the young people that are in higher education in some form, there's an opportunity for us, like never before, to engage with them, because they need the opportunities, they need the experience, they need all of that. And those people there in higher education,
It's a resource.
it's massive, massive, massive. And there's a group right now doing what they call critical service learning. So 25 universities are sitting and talking week after week and saying, how do we get our students integrated from a critical developmental framework into society? Who do we talk to? Now, I've been sitting in those meetings for 6 weeks with them now. And so we've got access to the universities across the nation, to the young people that are sitting there, and to help get those young people engaged in every sphere of society that we're engaged with the expertise that lives here. It's just going to take your time, and it's not going to take much dollars. It's going to take the investment of your time to say, I will take that young person with me for the next 6 months, every week, and we'll take them into a space, because they're actually going to run love, whatever, throughout the nations. They're going to run Avianto Estate. They're going to do all that stuff. That's what's coming. And so that's a credible opportunity, but right now, it's a barrier because the young people are not entering those spaces.
Sitting at the bottom here are the councils and the youth junior councils. So there's governments here on the outskirts, and how do we bring them into the conversation? So we're engaging with Kochta and some of the other different departments, saying how do we actually integrate some of their structures into these systems? And so, again, the fragmentation and our mess has to become something, how do we pull that together? I think that's the critical question we're asking.